Hi, Bear Creek. Welcome. Good to have you here for day 4 of paddling through the mountains as we all try to gather together and keep our spirits up as we go through this mountain of a month, January. This is our daily vlog, and today I want to talk about something very special today. Today is the day of Epiphany. This is the day we celebrate the wise men or the magi or the three kings traveling from the east to come see the baby Jesus, and they brought 3 gifts. When you think about the Magi, they were stargazers first and foremost, and I love that. Sometimes we just think they're just dreamers, but no, they're people who are looking for something higher than their lives, something greater than their ordinary experience of life. They were breakers. They were code breakers, chain breakers, if you would. They broke the chain of the ordinary and sought something greater. And they're willing to travel far just to do it. That's what I love about them. Today I want to talk about the importance of our stories and having chain breakers or stargazers in our story, and for you to identify those in your own life and in the spiritual life we have together as Christians. When I was a student, a seminary student at Perkins School of Theology in Dallas, Texas, I had an absolutely wonderful pastor who taught me how to preach. Zan Holmes was his name, and he was just an African-American preacher who just had so much spirit and vibrance and just an incredible storyteller. And we used to go, after we preached our sermons, he would videotape them, and then we'd go into his office, and it was so humbling to have him kind of pour over our sermons, which were a little weak to say the least, and have him just kind of try to give us encouragement, which he did more than anything, but also try to give us pointers on how we could get better. And behind his desk, there were hundreds of pictures of different people. I could tell some of them were his family members, but there are also famous people there. John F. Kennedy, there was Martin Luther King Jr., there was a whole bunch of folks there. And one day I asked him about it. I said, "Who are these people? What are their importance to you?" And he said, "Oh, well, that's my cloud of witnesses." If you read the 11th and 12th chapter of Hebrews, you'll hear that we don't run this race alone, but we have this cloud of witnesses behind us cheering us on. And he said, these are my cloud of witnesses. These are the folks that when I write a sermon, I don't write this sermon alone. I have these folks watching over me, and I want to please them, but I also hear their encouragement and their insight as I look over a scripture passage and try to bring it out into the world. I love that image of a cloud of witnesses. Who are your cloud of witnesses? In January, it seems like the lie often wins out. And that lie is that we're all alone, that we don't have a cloud of witnesses behind us, that we're slugging through this all by ourselves. And you may feel that way, and there may be some truth to that. But in the real reality of it all, when you look at the bigger picture, the real truth is you are not alone. There are folks in your story, there are folks around you right now that you can gather to help you get through this thing. So I wanted to tell you about one of the stargazers or the code breakers or the chain breakers in my family. My mother was a great chain breaker. She's now 91 years old, and she was the first person in her family, a family of 12 children, to actually go to high school. Nobody else had done it before. And then she went on to college. And I talked to her about that, how it was to be a code breaker or a chain breaker, because her mother didn't want her to do this. But she said she had help. And one of the people that really helped her, one of the cloud of witnesses for her, was her sister Margaret, an older sister who had not gone to high school, but she was able to get some training in nursing as she was on the job, and she became a nurse. And so the way my mother was able to afford college was my Aunt Margaret sent her a check every month to pay for it. And Mom said, "Well, it wasn't much." And I said, "Well, wait a minute, it was a lot. Think about it." And she began to realize how valuable that was. That was the only way she got through college, was Margaret's support. You have folks in your life. And I want you to stir the pot and look back and take an inventory of some of the stories in your story, some of the scripture stories we have of people who've broken through the ordinary and been stargazers and looked for something higher. Maybe you could be one of those people. Let's not let the ordinary, let's not let the shadows take away that image of God that God has placed in each of us, that stargazer. Today, as we celebrate the star, let us find the star in each of us by looking at our stories. Thanks for listening. Have a great Epiphany.